Hi there, my name is Esajifa and you're welcome to my channel and to today's YouTube video. If this is your first time, you're welcome. If you're a returning viewer and you have not yet subscribed, why? Anyways, if you haven't subscribed, I would appreciate you subscribing. So I recently took the IELTS exam and I scored an 8.5 overall, including a perfect 9 for my speaking test. That was amazing. So in this video, I'm going to tell you my experience. I'm going to tell you how I prepared, what worked for me, what didn't work for me, and what I might have done differently if I had the chance to do it again. I'll also talk about my lower section, which was my writing section, and what I might have done differently. If you are preparing to take this exam, I hope my experience and what I share would be beneficial in helping you ace the exam. Let's get into the video. So before I get into my experience, what is the IELTS exam? The IELTS exam stands for International English Language Testing System. It's an English proficiency exam that is commonly required for study, work, professional registration, and immigration in many countries. There are two main versions of the exam. We have the IELTS Academic, which is usually required for university admissions and higher education. And then there's the IELTS General Training, which is often used for migration, work, and some professional opportunities. For my situation, I took the General Training version because that's what I needed for the opportunity I was pursuing. And the exam has four main sections. We have the listening, reading, writing, and speaking. That in the course of preparing for the exam, you come to realize that it's not about knowing how to speak English. It's knowing what the exam wants. Okay, and there's a distinction because the exam doesn't really care how good or fluent of a speaker you are if you can obey certain rules. The exam wants to test, are you comfortable speaking, expressing, and using the language so you could exist in the environment you are going to. So once you understand this, the exam preparation becomes more intentional and more focused, and you avoid beating around the bush. I took the in-person exam and these were my scores. For listening, I had an 8.5. Reading, I had an 8. Writing, I had a 7.5. And for speaking, I had a 9. My overall band score was 8.5. So speaking was my highest score and writing was my lowest score. And looking back at what I did, I think something that went against me was I wrote way too much. I wrote way too much. So you have a word count of about 300 words and I think I almost doubled that. Now, when I started writing, the question I remember I got was you have two essays. One of them was you were on a flight and then you lost your bag. Describe in clear detail what the bag looked like so that they could return it to you when they found it. And my storyline was on I spoke about the bag. I spoke about why the bag was important. I spoke about what was in the bag. I spoke about why it was confidential. I went a whole, yes. Now it's good to express yourself, but you don't need a lot to show that you know a lot. Okay. And what I mean by that is for the writing section in your course of learning, you realize there are certain sentence structures that you are supposed to use. For instance, inserting a question, inserting a compound sentence, inserting a complex sentence, simple complex sentence, the different sentence structures, right? At least one of them should suffice. Here was the case, I was giving 3, 4 multiple examples of them. So I couldn't read through my full essay before I ran out of time. So that is something I'm definitely not doing again if I ever take the exam again. Right. To the resources I used, my resources were primarily free resources. I didn't use any paid resource. I used YouTube and the British Council website. So when you sign up to take the exam on the website, you are given, I'll call it a package. And what that includes is you can take some sample tests, you can take time tests, you can take section specific tests, right? For me, that was very enough. I think I just did an example each of the sections. However, my free resources on YouTube, which are linked in the description, allowed me to practice speaking. what I did was I just listened to other people speaking, and I came to realize, on the contrary, you are allowed to make mistakes when you are speaking. So before I started to prepare for the exam, I used to think when I entered the speaking section, I had to, hit everything and be very accurate, not make any mistakes, not have any filler words, like all of that. But when you think about us speaking English in a normal setting, you do use filler words sometimes, right? Now, in using filler words, it's not because you don't know what to say or how to express yourself. It's usually you thinking through what you are saying. I'm expressing myself to you and I'm like, hi, my name is Jifa, and you're welcome to my YouTube channel. For today's video, I'm going to take you through how I took the IELTS exam. I use right, versus hi, my name is Jifa, and for today's video um I'll be taking you through the IELTS exam and how I was able to get through it successfully. Um yeah, so that's what we'll be doing for today's video. That's the best example I could come up with on the spot. But in both situations, I did use filler words to some degree. Okay, for the first example, I used just one, right? For the second example, I needed to exaggerate the situation, so I used multiple. But you could clearly tell in the second example, I was struggling to know what to say versus someone speaking where okay, this person does have control over the language, but in the moment they are just pausing to think. So using filler words as pauses as opposed to using it as thinking. I hope that's clear. If I needed the filler word, I was going to use the filler word. And the day of my exam, I did use a filler word. I had to, right, when I was thinking through the process. So that was for speaking. For reading, what I did for writing, let's do writing first. So for writing, what I did was I listened to audios of people's essays, and then I had my essay structure in my head. So if I had 5 paragraphs, what exactly did I want to say in those 5 paragraphs? What kind of sentence structures, what kind of adverbs, adjectives, similes did I want to intentionally include in my essay? There are some basic ones you can have that you are going to put in the essay regardless. They are generic or they are general enough to use in any essay. So for reading and listening, what I did was practice with both YouTube and the British Council's website. So I had examples from the website, and I think about 2 or 3 of those were enough. I was more concerned about being able to hear the audio clearly, because once you do, trust me, 70% is done. Right. And for writing, for reading as well, how to intentionally pick out the answers, because there's a technique for doing it. Right. Once you learn the technique, again, 70% is cleared. I'll just read out some of my notes to you. Okay. For reading, I focus heavily on time management. Yes, do that for every section, but especially for reading, because you don't have unlimited time to sit with every question. You have to read quickly, make a decision, and move. Okay. And so you have to practice scanning for information, understanding the different question types, and not getting attached to not knowing an answer. If you don't know something, just move. And for the writing section, focus on being clear. You don't need to be fancy. Answer the question directly. You can have some vocabulary ahead of time that you are confident you would fit into an essay, regardless of what the essay is. Okay. And that would help you not need to think of vocabulary on the spot. Avoid spelling mistakes. Know that if you write, the more you write, the more chances there are that you would make mistakes in your vocabulary, grammar, and you have awkward sentences. So less is actually more in this situation. Try to stay within the word limit, a little above or a little below. It should just be fine. For the speaking section, I'll leave you with, you don't need to rush to answer every question. You can take your time. You can pause. Okay. Something you can use to pause for an initial pause is, thank you for the question. Then you go into it. Then you lean into answering the question. Okay. Speak naturally. We all make mistakes when we are talking sometimes. You can say sorry and then take it again. Or I'd like to go over that again. The more ease you show in expressing yourself, I think helps with getting a higher score. right? Don't be nervous when you make a mistake. When you know something and you make a mistake, it's not coming from a place of I don't know, so I made a mistake. It's I am comfortable with this. Um, I'm stringing the I am formulating things as I'm thinking through it, basically. So it's not that I don't know. I do know. I just need the right words for the moment, right? So to summarize, be free. All right, so let's go to exam day observation. So I took my exam in person. When I got there, you have to get there about 30 minutes or an hour roughly to time. I got there was a room with people. You have to register. So when you come, you have the waiting room. They call you individually. They check if you have the exam that day and then take your ID, all of that. Make sure you are the person coming to write the exam or the person that registered to take the exam. And then when it's time, you are walked into, once you finish the registration, you go for the first section, which is everything excluding speaking. Now, once everybody enters the room, you start work. So the listening section has the audio play for everybody, but I have a headset, right? So you hear through your headset and then you answer your questions. Once you're done, you take that out and then you continue the rest of the sections. Something that made me slightly uncomfortable on exam day was the keyboard. So you know how our laptop keyboards are flatter, it's easier to press. You don't need so much effort to type. The the devices I used for exam day had the more mechanical keyboard, right? That's what I'll call it, like the typewriter kind of keyboard. So it needed more effort to press. That made me slightly uncomfortable when I was typing for my writing section. So I had more effort. But aside that, I don't think any other thing was problematic for me. So maybe practice with that ahead of time, especially if you're not somebody who likes to type a lot. I would apply everything I'm telling you. If I missed something, I would just move on. Especially for my writing section where I scored a lower score, I would write less, be more intentional about my accuracy versus my quantity of words. Yeah, I'll not say too much. I'll not do too much. I would also not give myself too much time to take the exam. So when I was going to take the exam, I remember somebody who had taken it told me I didn't need a month to prepare. But I didn't also want to rush into it thinking that because I was comfortable with the language, I would just glide through like the exam. So I did take a month. I registered a month ahead of time. But what ended up happening was when I started learning, I realized everything I was doing, I knew, right? Again, I knew how to speak English. So I quickly had to switch to learning for the exam. But again, I didn't need a whole month to learn how to write the exam, right? I gave myself the month. I started learning for it. But then I'll say my brain got tired, basically. And what that looked like was I wasn't enthused to practice for the exam. So I just let it be for about like 2 weeks to time. And then I took off practicing the essays. I didn't write a full essay before I wrote the exam. I learned a lot by listening and visualization. So looking at essays, literally like glaring at the essays, taking mental views of mental pictures of what the essays looked like was enough for me. I didn't need to write a full essay before I wrote the exam. And that worked well. And don't panic when you make a mistake, especially for listening and speaking. Just keep going, smile and keep going. It's fine, right? So I hope this video has been helpful. If you were able to watch till this point and you still haven't subscribed, kindly consider subscribing to my channel. All right, so until the next video, see you. Bye.